This new Claude MCP update is pretty impressive, my friends. And we're going to get straight into it. I'm just fixing my screen here. We're good to go on that, I think. So, what I'm going to show you now is an example of a new update inside Claude Code. You can also do this inside Cursor and everything else. And basically, you can access loads of different tools that I'm about to show you using something called the MCP Docker. Right? And essentially Docker have a new update where you can see all of a list of MCP servers, and these are all like secured servers that you can access, and then in one button you literally click it and get access to all these MCPs. So I'll show you exactly how to set this up and how it works step by step today. So the first thing you want to do is download docker.com, and then from here, once you've downloaded Docker, you're just going to open it up like so. Really easy and simple to install this. It's one of the best things that I like about it, because if you've ever set up Docker before, it can be a total nightmare in terms of getting MCPs installed. So once you've installed Docker, you can actually open up Docker Desktop, like you can see from here. And inside Docker Desktop, you can go to Extensions, and if you click on Manage, you can get the Docker MCP Toolkit, right? So you can see the Docker MCP Toolkit, and if we open this up on the left-hand side, you can just literally toggle on all the different MCP servers like so. And if you go to MCP clients, you can then select, for example, Claude Desktop or Gordon, Cursor, or continue.dev as well, right? So any sort of program that you would normally install MCP clients onto, you can just automatically install by clicking connect directly here. So I've got them installed inside Docker, and then I can, for example, enable 11 Labs or Firecrawl with one click inside Claude. And if we go to Claude and then we go to settings, from here we're going to go over to developer, and inside the developer section we can select MCP Docker, and you can see that is running right there. Boom. Now the good thing about using MCP Docker is you can have multiple different MCP tools enabled directly inside here. It's all like toggled on, so you can toggle them off or toggle them on if you want to as well. You've got all the tools, so for example, like we've got 11 Labs agents inside there. We've also got Firecrawl, for example, as well. And then this is so much easier. So you can see here, for example, I've said use Firecrawl search to find mentions of Julian Goldie online this week. And then it's used the Firecrawl search MCP to look through the web and start finding that information, which is really cool. So any sort of tool that you would normally set up with manual coding or trying to figure out the code and stuff like that, you can just toggle on right here. This is so much easier as well and cheaper than using something, for example, like Visual Studio Code. So if you were using Visual Studio Code to start installing MCP servers, it can be a bit of a nightmare, right? And I'll show you what I mean. So if we open this up right here, all right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Klein. We'll open up Klein like so, and I was trying to install something called Stagehand the other day, and it just wasn't getting it. It just wasn't getting it. I'll show you an example, right? So we sent the request, then it had an error, then we sent another request, that cost us money. All these API requests cost us money to try and install this MCP for Stagehand. Total nightmare. And then it keeps installing it, keeps giving us errors, and you can avoid all of that and all the money that it costs to generate the MCP installation by just going to Docker Desktop and then installing and enabling some examples, right? So you can see here all the different stuff that we've enabled. Pretty simple and easy to do. And then let's say, for example, you want to start using this inside Docker Desktop. Let me show you how it works. So if we go over to Claude, for example, I'm just going to check that the developer settings are enabled. Here we go. Then we'll go to developer, and you can see MCP Docker is running and ready to go right there. Okay, pretty nice. So if we now go inside here, and let's say we want to use, I don't know, 11 Labs or something like that. So if we go inside new chat and we say, okay, use 11 Labs voice agent to generate audio saying, I like chips and beans, right? Because who doesn't? Who doesn't love chips and beans? And from here, it will start generating the MCP 11 Labs voice agent, right? So it's like, right, I'll help you generate the audio. Here's a file, it's ready for you to use. You can find it on your desktop. Boom shakalaka, we're off to the races, and we're living the dream, my friends. All right, so that's easy, really simple to do as well, and you can just use any sort of MCP you want directly using this process. If you go to another chat here, we'll click on start new chat, and we'll say, okay, use a fire crawl search and find, or let's say scrape juliangoldie.com, something like that, right? You can now turn Claude into like a scraper bot, right? So you can see here, for example, because it's enabled with fire crawl search, we've got this ready to go. If you have any problems like setting up developer settings, let me just double check on that. So you just go on developer in the left-hand bar of the settings pane, and then click on settings. There should be a way as well. You can also, I think you can enable your settings as well on the developer tab here. But yeah, if you can't see it, then just go to settings. And then you should be able to enable it right here, right? Developer. Just enable the developer and you can edit the config from there. So yeah, pretty cool. Makes your Claude desktop or whatever you're using, cursor, way more powerful than it's been before. And it's pretty simple and easy to do. So you can see here, for example, it scraped my website. It's like, right, we'll scrape your website. Let's scrape the main page. Let's gather some information. And then it's just grabbed like all the information from my website, including like the services we sell, our packages, exactly what we do, etc., our other offers, key features, right? And then you've basically got like a nice little scraper bot that can just go off on the web and do whatever you want, right? Now, if you want to set this up from scratch, let me show you an example. So let's say we want to set up a new MCP, right? Let's have a look through here. Let's say, for example, Perplexity, right? We need to set up Perplexity here. So what we can do, if you want to enable Perplexity inside, for example, Claude, right? And then you can combine the best of both. So you can go to your Perplexity settings, just make sure you have the Pro plan. And then from here, we can just go to the API section. So API keys on the left, so I'm just going to grab that in the background. And then once you've got that API key, as I've done in the background here, we can then go to Docker Desktop, we plug in the API key, nice and simple, easy peasy, boom shakalaka, we're just going to enable that. And then if we go back to MCP settings, you can see that's enabled and toggled on. Right? And then probably what we'll need to do is just restart Claude Code, so let's quit that. Then we're going to open this bad boy up again. Just make sure you do restart it, otherwise you probably won't see the tools there. So from here, we've now got this enabled. If we scroll to the settings, then we're going to go to MCP Docker, and boom, Perplexity Ask, Research and Reason, ready to go. How easy was that, right? Nice and simple. So now let's have a look and we'll say, right, okay, use Perplexity, and what integrations have we got here for Perplexity Ask, Research, Reason? Okay, let's use Perplexity Reason to figure out the best way to use MCPs today for my AI agent on Claude, something like that. Right? Then we can hit enter, and we should be good to go. All right. So now you can see it's using Perplexity Reason MCP, and that is just I mean, literally, we just click a button and we're ready to go. Right? How much time have you saved? and API costs have you saved by doing that versus, for example, just going on to Visual Studio Code, then you go back and forth with it, you wait 20 minutes, it's still not working, you question what you're doing with your life, and then you can just, for example, use this process instead, right? So now it's using Perplexity Reason, Research, etc., all the API calls from Perplexity directly. And then also the other cool thing here is you can do multiple different calls, right? So for example, you could have one prompt where you call Firecrawl to scrape a website, then you use Perplexity Reason to analyze that data, and all of a sudden you've got AI super agent inside Claude that can just connect with all your different apps in one single click. So way easier than just using the normal MCP process. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to all the video notes from today, that's for free inside the AI Success Lab. Link in the comments and description there, peeps. And if you go to the new Claude MCP update here, you can scroll down and you'll see all these notes on how to install this stuff, how to use it, etc. Plus, we've got a bunch of resources for you here on like AI super agents, if you like that stuff, along with some details on, for example, like how to install local MCPs so that Claude can actually access your laptop and all that sort of thing as well. It can do some crazy stuff. Also, inside the feed here, you'll see that we actually give away free trainings every single day. So all these new free trainings are coming every single day. We just give them away to help you. You can opt in. You can see all the people, very active community, and it's got a community of 11,200 members. Feel free to get that. If you do want to connect with me personally, feel free to join the AI Profit Boardroom. This is a community where you can actually request different, for example, you can request like different automations, right? So for example, if we scroll down here, you can see in the how we can help you section, what we do each week is we create a feed where people can just post their automation requests. Then we actually just go off and build them and give you like a video tutorial personalized from me, plus the details and exactly how to set all this stuff up, right? And we do that for everyone who posts, which is pretty crazy. And also inside there as well, you get all of my best SOPs, automations, workflows, etc. that you can just steal from me. And additionally, we also have 3 coaching calls every week, right? So you can jump on the coaching call today if you sign up now. And we've got 3 spots available at the current price, and then the price goes up. So make sure you sign up now. All right. Links in the comments and description. Appreciate you watching. If you're like, Julian, mate, I just want you to do all this for me. Just book in a free AI strategy session. Link in the comments and description, and we can just jump on the call, figure out what you need to outsource, and then from there, we'll implement it for you, right? We can implement automations for you. A lot of people think we just do SEO, but actually we do AI automation too. So if you want to sign up for that service, link in the comments and description, and appreciate you watching. All right. What questions we got here? Feel free to ask any questions. And that sun is so bright. NA10 Perplexity code next, potentially on the next node. We might talk about that in a sec. Today, what I'm going to show you is a new NA10 workflow with Veo 3 that can literally help you automate your ads scene by scene. So what you can see here, for example, is an automation that we created. If I go in here, for example, and I tell it the ads I want to create. So for example, SEO agency, free SEO strategy session. We'll hit send in that. Basically, that's generated the result now, as you can see. And then if we go over to our scene here, we've actually generated a workflow with Veo 3 using this exact process. So for example, let's play this back.
Want to get more leads and sales from Google? I'm here to help you with a free SEO strategy session.
And then, for example, we play the end as well. Let's play this back.
The link on this ad and book your SEO strategy session today. Let's boost your online presence together.
So the way that this was generated is using this workflow right here. And essentially, step by step, you can easily generate a character, location, and script using NA10 that you can then plug into, for example, Veo 3, or in this case, I actually used Flow to generate a few different ads, like you can see, using this process, right? Now, this is actually something that was inspired by another video from Adrian Viral AI Marketing. I'll actually link to his video. Awesome workflow that inspired this right here. And essentially, what you can do is you can go inside the chat and you're going to say, right, okay, here's what I do, and then here's what I sell, right? So if you want to use this step by step, essentially what you can do is you plug in what you want, and then it's going to generate the scenes and the character. Okay, so let's pull this up and I'll show you how the prompts work. So essentially, this is the ads copy generator. You could use this with something like foul as well. So what you can do with Foul is you can actually, for example, take your ideas and then send them over to an API request on foul.ai. But the biggest issue with that is it's going to cost you quite a lot of money, right? Whereas, for example, you can actually do it a lot cheaper just by taking the prompts and then plugging them into something called Google Flow. Now, Flow takes about, I think it costs about $200 per month. But if you're generating a lot of videos at once, then this is going to be way cheaper per video, right? And you can actually use something called Veo 3 Fast to generate the prompts, right? This is way cheaper. So you select in your settings here when you're using Google Flow on Ultra, Veo 3 Fast text to video, and then you can generate the video that way. The other way that you can do this is you can use Foul. That's typically $3 to $6 per video, which is cheaper than $200 per month, but it depends how many videos you generated. And then if we play this back, for example, we've taken the example prompt from NA10, and if we open this up, we'll go full screen on this.
Get more leads and sales from Google? I'm here to help you with a free SEO strategy session.
So this is completely AI generated with VAO 3.
Want to get more?
The audio, the person, everything else is synced as well perfectly. And then you can actually download that and then plug it into, you know, a video editor and just clip them all together. Pretty simple and easy. So let's have a look at exactly how this works. So basically we plug in a chat message. So you just open up the chat, you tell it what you want. Then from there, you're going to generate the character prompt, right? So you can see for all of these generations, we're using ChatGPT 4.0 mini. And inside the AI agent for the character prompt, we've got this connected to the chat trigger. So for example, I've typed in SEO agency, free SEO strategy session over here. And then inside the settings for the system message, let me pull this up and I'll show you some examples. So you see here I've said, you are a world-class Facebook ad strategist, trained to generate scroll-stopping characters specifically designed for high-converting ads, right? Your job is to do this. Example, John, 30 years old, blah, blah, blah. Make sure the character is unique and different based on the business. Now, each time I run this, this will actually generate different outputs, right? So, for example, if I say, okay, pet food business, selling dog food, for example, it's actually going to come up with different responses based on that, right? So let's just refresh the chat here. And then you can get different characters each time, right? Now, in terms of the location, you can see the prompts right here. So for example, the prompt, we say, right, take the company offer, take the character in the advert, and then come up with a relevant location for this process. And then finally for the script, what we're doing here is we're saying, right, in the first line, include a clickable link to Labs Google Flow, right? So we can just quickly copy and paste our prompts in and then add the information below, generate 5 scenes, take the information from the chat, the company, etc., and then just generate the ad using that process. Really simple and easy. And then, you know, you can easily generate whatever you want, right, using this. So let's test this out again. Just going to unpin all the data. And now you can see, for example, it's come up with Lola, Hispanic, blah, blah, blah. And what we can actually do is take that scene. So let's grab that. We'll go over to Flow. We'll generate a new video. We're going to use VAO fast. Make sure you change your settings so you actually get audio from there, and then you can hit enter, right? Now, if you actually want to just use FAL, I've actually got an automation for that, but essentially you would set up a HTTP request, wait, and then grab the video from there, right? So you can add a HTTP request inside this directly. So as an example of that, let me take this like so. And then what we can actually do is we can take the prompt from the AI agent and send that over to Fal. So let me copy this, for example. Then we're going to go over to our automation. If you wanted to just automate this directly, you can grab that. And then you can take the output from the previous module and plug this into the value section over here, right? And that will be the prompt. Bear in mind as well that you only want to generate one prompt at a time. So what you can do with the script is you can just say, okay, only generate one line, right? Only generate one scene, for example. And that will give you like just one scene to generate with the HTTP request. And then you would just wait a minute, get the information, the URL back from Fal, and then plug that in wherever you want, right? But pretty simple and easy to automate using this process. I like it because it's a lot cheaper than using Fal, which is way more expensive. You don't have access to the very fast automation. And then also, if we go to Float now, we've got the new generation. So this is the new example of the prompt we automated for our dog food example. Let's open this up full screen and see what it's like. Could be terrible because I've just generated it live, but let's see what it's like.
Do you worry about what's in your dog's food? Let's talk about healthy options for your furry friend.
That actually worked out perfectly. I can't believe it. That was live. So yeah, you can see exactly how it works step by step. Literally all we did was we grabbed the scenes inside the chat, and then you can just generate them step by step, right? If you want to generate the second scene, we can just take that, and then we can plug this in. One thing that I'm going to say and just warn you about is like the character congruency is not great, right? So you might find that like the character congruency overall is not amazing, but it does the job. So, you know, it's up to you. And I think some people, well,
Do you worry about what's in your dog's?
Why is that playing? Yeah, so let's play another one. So we'll grab scene 2 now, and that will generate the second scene. As you can see right here, so for example, this character is not perfectly congruent, but it could work on an ad if you had like B-roll and that sort of thing, right? The other option that you have for automating ads is that you could take exactly the same prompt and then you can go over to HeyGen as well. So HeyGen is another one where you could create avatar ads with this too. So for example, if we take that, then we could, for example, go to home, try avatar 4, type in your script, and plug in the image of the person that you want to use. If you don't have any images, you can just use a sample like you can see right here of one of the other avatars that they've got. Like this, for example. You would remove the character information and just insert the script, right? So you can take that, delete this, everything else, plug that in. You can add motion as well, and then you can just generate the avatar video like so. But either way, you can easily automate ads using this flow. Super simple. So if you want to get access to this stuff, feel free to get it inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. Shout out to Adrian Viral Marketing, who came up with the idea for this. Definitely check out his video on this stuff. Great. I'll link it inside the organic video. I've also added a link inside the AI Profit Boardroom as well to his channel. And you can also just download this blueprint. So if we click on download, and then we'll go into a new NA10 workflow. And you can just import the workflow, right? So if you click on import from file, get that file you just generated, and that's automatically uploaded into the workflow, right? Really nice and simple. So link in the comments description to that in the AI Profit Boardroom. If you want to get access, you can connect with me directly too. Also comes with 3 weekly coaching calls, so you can ask me any questions that you have as well inside the community. And additionally, what we do is like we say, right, each week we say, what automations do you want us to create? And then based on your answers, we actually create all the automations you want to see, right? So you get massive value out of this because normally you would pay an agency thousands of dollars. You can just go inside the AI Profit Boardroom, ask us to build whatever automations you want within reason, of course, and then within a week, we actually just get back to you, record a personalized video for you with a timestamp, and then create the links to the videos and everything else, right? So link in the comments and description to that. It's also where you can connect with me personally, and a community of awesome entrepreneurs like you can see. And also it comes with all my best automations, workflows, and NA10 AI agents, right? So for example, if you click on NA10 templates inside the classroom, you get all of these different NA10 automations, and we're pretty much updating it like almost every single day at this point. So feel free to get that link in the comments and description. If you're like, okay, I just want your AI automation agency to implement it for us, feel free to book in an AI strategy session, link in the comments and description. What we can do on that call is audit your time and figure out exactly what you need to automate. Then from there, we can just go off and automate it for you, right? And we just, each month, we automate different processes based on what's going to save you the most amount of time. So link in the comments and description to that, and appreciate you watching. Cheers. NA10 have a brand new perplexity mode which allows you to empower and enrich your AI agents with the ability to just go off on the internet, scrape the internet, and also use all the tools from Perplexity directly, right? So for example, if we look at this Perplexity bot, it's linked to OpenAI, but it also uses the power of Perplexity as a new node. This literally just came out a few days ago. And then inside here, for example, we can take an example prompt. Let's say, round up the latest headlines in AI today and create an email newsletter based on that using the Perplexity tool. What that's actually going to do is use the Perplexity bot with the tool enabled to come back to us inside the chat and complete the task. So if we wait for that to load, so if we wait for that to load, you can see that's now loaded right now. And you can see the outputs right here. So if we go inside the chat, it's basically used Perplexity as a native node inside here, which is massive because now you can turn your bots and your workflows into AI agent that can actually scrape the news from today. So for example, if we click on this, let's pull this up. So this is news from June the 16th. And it can basically go off, scrape the web, find the latest news headlines, all sorts of things, right? Really, really cool stuff. So let's try another example. We'll refresh the chat here. We'll say, right, research Reddit and find the latest post from today using Perplexity's tool. And make sure when you're using this, you always say using Perplexity's tool. And then you can see here it's come back to us with all the headlines from today from Reddit, and then plug that in. Right? Now, if you want to build something like this, pretty simple and easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to go onto NA10, and you just want to make sure that you're on the latest beta version of it, so 1.98.1. That's what I upgraded to. You do that inside na10.cloud/manage on your account, and then you can switch between the latest updates. And once you've done, you click Save Changes, and that will just restart the server, and you're good to go from there, right? Now, once you've done that, what you're going to do is you are going to create a new workflow. So let me show you how. So you create a new workflow like so, click on create, and over here you can just add in the new first step. So let's click on that. Let's say, for example, you just want to create a basic AI agent. So from here, you can click on the plus, and then we'll type in AI agent over here, right? And you can just stick with the defaults if you want to. We'll just add in OpenAI as a chat model, right? To keep it simple, add in your credentials, blah, 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 you're good to go. And then the main thing with this automation is that you're going to click on the tools section here. So once you've added OpenAI and you've added the chat trigger and the AI agent, click on tool plus and then select Perplexity, right? Now inside Perplexity, you can actually choose which model you want to use, and you have to add your credentials, right? To do and add your credentials, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go over to Perplexity, make sure you're on the pro plan, right? And inside Perplexity, you just go to your settings, all settings, and then you click on API keys over here. I'm not going to click on that and copy it because I'll have to expose my API key, but you could get the point. You just get the API key there, and then you're good to go on that. Paste it in here. It will say connection tested successfully once it's done, and then you're good to go. All right. Now you can select between different models. So for example, the one that I was using in the previous example is just a basic Sonar, but Sonar is still pretty powerful, right? But you can switch between R1 1776, which is a US hosted version of DeepSeek. You could also use, for example, like Deep Research as well, which I've not tested out. I assume that would actually take and do some deep research based on whatever you give it, which is pretty crazy. So you could build your own like deep research bot. Let's test that now. So what you're going to find is like this is not going to work first time round, and the reason for that is because we have to test this first, and then we'll plug in the JSON data to Perplexity. You'll see what I mean in a second, right? So if we go inside the chat here and we say, right, okay, research, for example, products in the, or like, let's say research trends in the AI industry, right? Something like that. So now that's going to plug in there, but it's not going to work on Perplexity's tool. So what you want to do is you go to mapping, right? So click mapping over here, and then you take the chat input from here and you plug that in, right? And so now this is all connected. You've got the JSON data, which is dynamic each time you run a search, right? And then we're good to go. And then if we go inside here, we'll say using Perplexity tool, let's hit enter, and now that's going to use deep research agents to complete this chat, right? Which is really powerful because now you've just built your own deep research agent in like 1 or 2 clicks, and literally all you have to do is connect the Perplexity API, right? Just make sure you set the model to deep reasoning. So you can see how powerful this is. It's great for scraping the web, getting the latest information. You know, APIs like, for example, ChatGPT cannot do that, but Perplexity can. It's one of the few that can. It's one of the best research products in the world. So let's have a go at this, right? So for example, let's say, you know, you've seen a lot of the ChatGPT, Shopify integrations, and you're like, right, let's make a trending product finder that could be useful for this, right? If you wanted to do that. So what you can do inside here is inside Perplexity, we've got the model connected. I'm not going to use deep reasoning. I'm just going to go with Sonar for now, right? And what we can do inside Perplexity bot is we can change the system message over here. And we'll change this. We'll say you're a helpful assistant for finding trending products on Shopify, right? And then, for example, you could say, right, okay, research the web, find trending e-commerce products that are trending today plus recently. Then give a list to the user. Something like that, right? And then you've got Perplexity tools over here, so it can use that information. And we can put that inside the text, I think, as well. right? So that will send the same message to Perplexity as well. So now what we can do over here is we can say, right, okay, find me a trending product, and let's just test that out. So it's using Perplexity's tool, which is great automatically. We didn't even have to call it. And then in the meantime, what you can see over here is we've got the research back from the deep reasoning agent, right? The deep research agent, which is pretty cool as well. So let's go back to Perplexity now, and it's given us some trending products on Shopify that are currently popular. So for example, the heat core portable heater. Let's just check this. I want to validate this on Google Trends as well. So let's have a look. There we go. And we've got a bunch of ideas right here. And so essentially what you can do is you can use this for research, for creating your own tools. I mean, you could deploy this as well. So for example, what you can actually do here is if you go to the chat section, make publicly available, right? Then what you're going to do is hit active on that. And then if we click on here, click on chat URL, open this up. We've got the chatbot ready to go. And then if we say, okay, research the latest news today. That's going to use the Perplexity bot that we just built. Using that process, right? To get the most out of it, to get the best out of it, I would say research the latest news today using the Perplexity tool. Something like that. But yeah, essentially that's how it works. Now, if you want to get this scraper bot, we've actually got a link inside the AI Profit Boardroom to the template. So what you can actually do is if you click on the resources section here, then you're going to download that JSON file. And then from here, you can actually just easily import that into NA10, right? So as an example of that, if you go on, for example, new workflow inside NA10, and then from here, click on the three dots in the top right, import from file, get the Perplexity bot, and boom, look at that, ready to go. You just need to plug in your API details and you're good to go on that, right? The other cool thing here as well, if we go back to the chat, you can see it's used the product finder to find dropshipping products for June 2025. So it's found it a couple of ideas right there. And then also it's given us useful links to these blogs about the same topic. So you can easily build your own tools, deep research agents, scraper bots, etc. and just connect all your NA10 automations to the power of Perplexity as well. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to connect with me personally, if you want to get the template from today, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. We've got all these different NA10 templates and workflows like you can see. And additionally, what we actually do inside here each week is based on what you want to see, we build automations for you, right? So for example, you can see an example here where people make loads of requests. We actually had 63 comments on this thread. We built all the automations people want to see, recorded a personal video for them, and then gave them the links to all the automations that we built as well, right? So if you want the same, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. We do it each week. Also, we have 3 coaching calls per week, so you can jump on the free live coaching calls per week. You can connect with me personally, and I reply to your DMs and give you support and everything else. And also, it's just an awesome community of winners who have a good time using AI and learn from each other, right? You can see all these different wins that we were sharing together this week. And yeah, just a great place to enjoy and have fun and, you know, grow together. So feel free to get the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. Additionally, if you want us to just implement all this stuff for you, build some NA10 automations, etc., and just build those for your business, then feel free to book in an AI strategy session, link in the comments description. On that call, we can basically look at where you're spending all your time, figure out what you need to automate, and then we'll just go off and automate it for you, right, as you become a client, right? So feel free to get that link in the comments description, and appreciate you watching. See you on the next one. Cheers, bye-bye.